This right here is definitely my favorite stock mastering plugin inside of FL Studio. I still use it to this day, even in combination with third-party plugins like iZotope Ozone. Typically, I'll do some slight compression and a little bit of saturation, and I'll adjust the stereo field inside of Maximus before it hits Ozone. And 9 times out of 10, that produces a result that I can't get with just Maximus or Ozone alone. So I really like that combination. However, I believe there are 4 ways that we can improve the mastering inside of FL Studio just by using the stock plugins if we update Maximus to perhaps a Maximus version 2. So number 1, the first thing would be to switch from low, mid, high to a 5-band Maximus. So it would be nice to have sub-frequencies and your upper high-end air frequencies that you can compress different from your highs, mids, and lows. Very often I find myself wanting to control the sub-frequencies different than the bass frequencies. And same thing with the high end. A lot of times I want to adjust the very tip top of the high end separate from the main part of the high end, where you get a lot of the harshness. So sometimes when you take that harshness out, you also lose that air and that fluff at the top that keeps everything nice and ambient. So having more fine-tuned control between those different ranges would definitely help out in the mastering stage. Number 2, MidSide Processing. So I've brought this up in every video so far where I've gone over things that I would like to see in FL Studio 21. Again, I will mention that I know that we can do that inside of Patcher. But again, I would like to highlight how much more convenient and how much faster it would be to just do that inside of the plugin itself without having to create a chain of plugins. I would suspect that it would be less processing power as well if we just add it into the infrastructure of Maximus instead of having to load up multiple other plugins. But being able to compress your middle signal separate from your side signals, same thing with saturation, that would give Maximus a lot more fine tuning and a lot more control over the entire stereo field compared to what we have now. Number 3, ever since streaming came along, it's been really important to have a solid plugin that could actually detect and limit your true peak loudness. So for example, if you go to this master tab right here and you adjust this down to -1 dB, which is what most streaming platforms recommend. If you export your project out, 9 times out of 10, you'll find that it's not really sitting at -1 dB. It's actually a little bit louder, and that's because of inner sample peaking. Sometimes the plugin that's doing the limiting won't actually catch every single peak. If we had an option just like this solo button right here, where we could just turn it on or off, it would be nice to have true peak limiting inside of Maximus. That's actually one of the main reasons why I use a plugin like Ozone to catch any of my inner sample peaks. From there, I throw on U-Lean loudness meter where I'm able to actually measure the inner sample peaks and I could see where the true peak is actually hitting. Ozone gets it right 100% of the time. So I would love to have that capability inside of Maximus as well. And the 4th thing would be to have a mono filter. So I already know that you could go into these individual bands. You can slide this all the way to the left to separate your frequencies, get more of a stereo spread, or you could throw this all the way to the right to have more of a mono signal. However, it would be nice to not even have this associated with specific bands. It would be really cool to just have a mono knob that just goes through the entire frequency range. Now, I'm not saying get rid of this knob right here, but I'm just saying have an additional knob at the bottom or anywhere in here where we can just go to the master and just mono the entire signal up to a certain point. I will absolutely admit that just having this knob with those 5 different bands, you should be able to get the exact mono signal that you're looking for, but it's not going to be as accurate as just being able to mono up to whatever point that you want separate from these different band separations. Comment down below which of those things are your favorite, what you would like to see in Maximus version 2, and what you would just like to see in FL Studio 21 in general. I know that Imageline does watch my channel. You can definitely play a big part in getting these changes implemented in the new version of FL Studio when version 21 does come out. Until then, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.